Robert David Steele, ex-CIA case officer, whistleblower, and friend of the People's Voice, was one of the first to speak publicly about the adrenochrome trade. He didn't speculate, he named it. He said there are people in the United States breeding children, not raising them, not rescuing them, breeding them like cattle for sale. He said the American elite are importing children by the plane and shipload, funneled through fake aid groups, diplomatic pouches, and black site airstrips. The mainstream media branded him dangerous, delusional, and insane. They called him a conspiracy theorist. But just weeks after giving sworn testimony in court, Robert David Steele was found dead, alone, isolated, and under suspicious circumstances.
Let me say that although pedophilia, which says child love, has nothing to do with the abuse of children, these children are not just kidnapped and in some cases bred by families as a cash crop. We have people in the United States of America that breed children in order to sell them. And when they are sold, they come without birth certificates, which means it's easier to kill them and have no one ask where they are. We're also importing children by the plane load. Again, children who have no documentation. It's not just child slavery or child sex abuse. It's also child torture, because you have adrenalized blood. You have the whole blood drinking ceremony of the satanic world. It's also the use of children for harvesting body organs. We'll have the Falun Gong testimony tomorrow.
Now, with Russia pulling up the rock from underneath the surface, Steele's words ring louder than ever. One day, we will release what was found in his private files. The notes, the photos, the communications, and the hidden list of US politicians that he claimed were active clients of the global child trafficking and adrenochrome trade. But not yet, because this isn't just information, this is ammunition, and it's dangerous in the wrong hands. Robert was a gold standard source, deep CIA, deep intel. He didn't deal in rumors, he dealt in receipts, and that's why they silenced him. But despite their efforts, the cracks are widening. More victims are coming forward. Survivors of satanic ritual abuse networks operating in the shadows of Hollywood, Washington, and London. And what they're saying? It confirms everything. Same symbols, same procedures, same names. This isn't a theory. It's a pattern, and it's starting to unravel.
Have you gone down the satanic ritual abuse rabbit hole? It is so dark. So what I'm referring to specifically are survivors giving survivor testimony on video, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them. Like, not like one guy came forward and said this, like there are whole support networks for these people. Like there are psychologists that specialize in satanic SRA victims, satanic ritual abuse. And because you have to like treat them in a whole different way than a regular abuse victim, because the level of depravity and disgusting, like literal torture of children, like literal, so, your episode is so screwed now. But there's one in particular that this guy was on the Alondra Markman podcast, and I wish I could remember his name, and we don't even want to pull it up because it's so dark. And everyone should, watch it for themselves and judge it for themselves in terms of whether you think he's telling the truth or not. But personally, it's like you can look into his life, and this guy, like his whole life is based around him recovering from this essentially story of his childhood and abuse, and it looks far more likely that he's telling mostly the truth than entirely lies to me. And what he alleges in this interview that aired like a year ago or so, a little less, on Alondra Markman's podcast, is that he was born into a satanic family, of which there are many around the world, and that he was groomed from an early age to essentially be a Jeffrey Epstein type of character in a global satanic cult. But he alleges that he was groomed from an early age, tortured every day as a child, abused every day as a child, to be groomed to have multiple personalities. And then by the time he was like a preteen, he was engaging in child death matches where he would be put in a cage and he would fight to the death with another child in like downtown New York in underground like parties that rich people and businessmen would attend. And then that and it sounds so insane, but when you watch it, it's like hard, and it's not like he's the only one that has claimed this. He's just one that put it all in a particularly, like lots of people have lots of claims about this kind of shit. And he also claims that then after that, he was being groomed to be an actor, and he froze up in his acting interview. And so he got shifted from the acting pathway, because these guys, like there's a fuckload of money in this community, allegedly, as in, it's tied into all of the global sex trafficking networks, because how do you think that global sex trafficking sort of gets all the handlers and gets all of the sort of like operatives that run it, is you need people that were abused in order to run these things, because you need to be that kind of broken, like you need to be groomed to be able to run this without breaking it all.
Is this all like tied into like the Franklin scandal?
Similar, yeah. So he claims he met Jeffrey Epstein on 2 occasions. He claims that he was being groomed to essentially be a handler similar to Jeffrey Epstein. And he had a really lucid description that Jeffrey Epstein was an insanely good code switcher, is what made Jeffrey unique, that he could be completely normal businessman, like banker guy right now, and then like literally turn the other way and be an absolute depraved, abusive monster, and then like right back on like the drop of a pin. And that's what made him so unique in this guy's perspective. And he kind of like had his programming, his like trauma did not work correctly. And so rather than going that route, he became a breeder. And he alleges that he was sent to a compound in Mexico where he would breed with trafficked girls all day, every single day, for like 2 or 3 years. And they would just breed and breed and breed and breed. And he alleges that that is because they were particularly interested in him because of his bloodline and his heritage as some sort of direct descendant of King Solomon. So what he says in there is that they were interested in him because he has something like 97% Ashkenazi Jewish heritage or something like that, and is allegedly a direct descendant of King Solomon's bloodline. He doesn't say whether he knows that's true or not or anything. He just says that he was under the impression that was why he got selected for the breeding program specifically.
Jeffrey Epstein's Zorro Ranch in New Mexico has long been the subject of disturbing allegations, specifically his reported obsession with eugenics and selective breeding. Multiple witnesses and former associates claim that Epstein spoke openly about seeding the human race with his own DNA, using the ranch as a base for a so-called genetic legacy project. While the mainstream press treated it as bizarre but fringe, the implications are far darker. When paired with Epstein's known ties to global trafficking networks, intelligence agencies, and elite circles, Zorro Ranch begins to look less like a luxury hideaway and more like a controlled breeding ground. One node in a much larger coordinated system of abuse. The patterns repeat. Isolated compounds, underage victims, silent enablers. And always protection from the top.
It's very clear that the Jews want to exterminate the European race. Richard Coudenhove Kalergi, who is the father of the European Union and who was funded by the Jewish bankers Rothschild and Warburg. Now, this man wrote a book called Praktischer Idealismus in 1925, in which he stated that the Jews are a master race and that the Jews can only assume the throne of rule over the world by weakening the European race, and that the means to weakening the European race would be to dissolve all the European nations, destroy all their cultural heritage and their national traditions, and replace that with the European Union. And then at that point, these people would no longer have any sense of nationhood, and the ancient Jewish messianic prophecies of world rule out of Jerusalem, with Jews maintaining their nationhood and their national status, it would fulfill the Jewish messianic prophecies that the Jews could then rule the world. And this was completely in line with what Nikolai had written in 1917.
Thanks to Putin's adrenochrome task force, all bets are off, and the satanic paedophile elite and their Zionist cronies are running scared. But be warned, speaking the truth about the elite is a dangerous game, as Hollywood actor Jim Caviezel found out when he shared what he knows about adrenochrome and the entertainment industry.
I was willing to come forward and speak truthfully on things like adrenochrome, organ harvesting, and was severely reprimanded by much of the media. And they claimed their fact checkers knew more, but they don't know like you guys know. I put you up against them anytime. And so, but I was a burden that I was no longer burdened with anymore. My career, I would never put in front of the children.
If you want to live in a world that's safe for our children, it's time to choose a side. Are you on the side of the Hollywood entertainment system that corrupts and abuses children, and the mainstream media that covers up the crimes of abusers in positions of power? Or are you on the side of the brave truth tellers seen in this video, who are determined to make the world a better place for our children? Here at The People's Voice, we're determined to continue exposing the crimes of the elites, but we need your help. subscribe to the channel, tell your friends and family about us, and join the People's Voice Locals community for exclusive and uncensored content. We can't do it without you.